We're looking into a picture going around online of a 2002 episode of The Simpsons. It shows Donald Trump touching a glowing orb with two Middle Eastern-looking men. Well, last month, President Trump did just that with the king of Saudi Arabia.
And we are looking into yet another claim about The Simpsons predicting a big news event. The story this time is that the iconic TV show eerily predicted the outbreak.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the future masters of the human race.
Comic-Con nerds!
You fool, these are robots. You will train them, and they will replace you.
In this episode, The Simpsons may have predicted something wild. The show has amazed us by forecasting major events like Donald Trump's presidency.
They predicted a Donald Trump run for the presidency back in 2000.
And it seems The Simpsons just can't wait to deal with Donald Trump.
And the Osaka flu.
Good Lord. Flu germs entering every orifice in my head.
But that's not all. We will also watch their predictions about robots going rogue on humans.
Are you A, working hard, or B, go?
And technology is changing the way we eat. The most surprising prediction is how the world will come to an end. Join us and see for yourself why The Simpsons predictions for 2025 are insane. Baby language translator. Anyone who has ever spent time around a crying baby knows how frustrating it can be trying to figure out what they want, especially when they can't tell you directly. It's one of those universal frustrations that everyone can relate to. Well, The Simpsons took a hilarious shot at this dilemma in one episode, and it might just be a prediction that could come true sooner than we think. In the episode, a genius character creates a device that translates a baby's cries into something adults can understand.
You see? It tells you exactly what's on the baby's mind.
The idea is as funny as it is genius, giving us a wild and entertaining look at how a simple misunderstanding can turn into a chaotic parenting moment. But while the situation is played for laughs, the idea behind it is pretty amazing. What's even cooler is that this concept might not be as far-fetched as it seems. Researchers and scientists are already working on technology to analyze sounds in ways we never imagined, which means a real-life version of this baby translator could be on the horizon. Thanks to The Simpsons, we might just be one step closer to making parenting a little less of a guessing game. As technology continues to advance, Simpsons' predictions are becoming increasingly relevant, and their take on AI is a warning we shouldn't ignore. AI gone rogue. The Simpsons warning. We have all heard of the potential dangers of artificial intelligence. But what if The Simpsons foresaw a future where AI goes from helpful to harmful? Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than ever.
You know, Smithers, I've always despised the laziness of the common worker. Then I realized his spirit was willing, but the flesh was weak. So I replaced the flesh, which is weak, with steel, which is strong. Behold!
And while it's super exciting to see how it's making life easier, there's a bit of a scary side to it too. What if we told you The Simpsons might have predicted a pretty unsettling future for AI?
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the future masters of the human race.
Comic-Con nerds!
You fool, these are robots. You will train them, and they will replace you.
In a 2016 episode, the family visits a theme park where all the staff are robots. What starts as an intriguing experience quickly goes off the rails when the AI turns rogue, taking out the humans and causing chaos. Now, it's not just a crazy plot twist, it's a scary look at what could happen if AI goes too far. This whole scenario raises some big questions about AI's role in our future. For starters, could AI end up taking over jobs, leaving regular workers without work, and making unemployment even worse than it already is? That's a real worry. Then there's the even scarier thought that as AI gets smarter, we could create something far more intelligent than ourselves. And what if it turns on us? Scientists have been sounding the alarm about this for years. As AI keeps evolving, could we end up with technology that we just can't control anymore? Jürgen Schmeider, a big name in the science and tech world, has warned that AI could lead to runaway technological growth, totally changing society over the next few decades. It looks like The Simpsons might have had a point after all, but AI isn't the only futuristic concept The Simpsons predicted. They also foresaw a world with flying cars. From robot workers to flying cars, the future that once seemed impossible is slowly starting to take shape, and it's kind of wild how The Simpsons always seems to predict these things. It's almost like they have a crystal ball or something. Take the 2005 episode Future Drama, for example. In this one, Bart and Lisa get a sneak peek of their lives in 2013, thanks to Professor Fink's machine. The episode, in true Simpsons fashion, imagines a future where flying cars are as common as sedans on the street. It felt a little ridiculous back then, much like how Back to the Future Part 2 overestimated the technology we would have by the 2010s. While society in 2013 was more obsessed with quirky fashion trends like onesies, flying cars were a distant dream. Now, here's the interesting part. While The Simpsons was ahead of its time, technology has been catching up over the past decade. Hyundai had promised that flying cars would be a part of Uber's future by 2023, but that deadline came and went without any airborne vehicles in sight. However, there's still hope on the horizon. Enter Samsung Sky, a company with a real shot at making this sci-fi dream come true by 2025. In December 2023, their flying car, the Switchblade, took its first flight soaring 500 feet above the ground. It was a huge step forward, and the company told the news they were just 2 years away from mass-producing the Switchblade for interested buyers. Now imagine driving your car on the road and then effortlessly flying it into the sky. That's the promise of the Switchblade. But before you start picturing yourself zooming above traffic, there's one catch. To take to the skies, you'll need a pilot's license. The price tag is around $170,000 and up, which will have you thinking twice. Still, with flying cars becoming a reality, it seems like The Simpsons might have been onto something after all. Who knows? In the next few years, we might all be looking up at traffic in a whole new way. And speaking of reality, The Simpsons also nailed this one about the next American president. Donald Trump's presidential elections. Still, the most thrilling to date is the prediction of Donald Trump as president. In a 1998 episode titled Bart to the Future, Donald Trump is shown as the 45th president of the United States. At that time, Trump was a reality TV star and businessman far removed from the political world. The episode's writers later claimed it was just a joke based on Trump's flamboyant personality. However, when Trump announced his candidacy in 2015 and subsequently won the election in 2016, Simpson's prediction became the talk of Hollywood. Whether it was a lucky guess or a random jab that accidentally hit the bullseye, the episode remains a mystery in American political history. Now, here's where it gets intriguing. The Simpsons predicted that Trump would win the 2024 election. Fast forward to the 15th of November, 2022, when Trump announced his intention to run for president again in 2024. Interestingly, Al Jean, a writer for The Simpsons, shared on X that the show had predicted this way back in 2015 during an episode where the Simpson family travels into the future. In that episode, Homer walked by a sign that said Trump 2024, which was just wild when you thought about it. What was even crazier was that this episode aired long before Trump even became president. The Simpsons didn't stop there, though. They had already predicted Trump's presidency in an earlier episode, even mentioning that the next president after Trump would have to deal with budget problems caused by his time in office. By the time the presidential election rolled around in November, fans of the show were eagerly waiting to see if The Simpsons would once again prove how spot on their predictions were. If you were still skeptical, had you ever wondered how the producers managed to predict that Trump would not only run for president but win? It was honestly mind-blowing and remained a bit of a mystery. Now that we've talked about Trump, let's see what The Simpsons had to say about his daughter. Ivanka Trump is in line to become the future president. Do the writers of The Simpsons have a fascination with Donald Trump and his family? Well, before you jump to conclusions, let's take a closer look at a subtle moment from the show. Up until now, The Simpsons had already made a name for itself by accurately predicting major political events like Donald Trump's election to the presidency. But they didn't stop there. In an episode that aired in October 2016, the writers dropped a hint that Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump's daughter, might run for president.
You are the reason he ran for president in the first place, and you are the reason he is going to keep fighting for 4 more years.
This prediction stood out in one episode, where Homer Simpson is seen wearing a campaign button reading Ivanka 2028. While it's easy to brush this off as a funny gag from the writers, it's quite telling. The prediction about Ivanka's potential presidential run is no accident. It's likely a calculated choice, especially considering Ivanka's growing influence in politics, largely shaped by her father's tutelage. When The Simpsons make a prediction, it often has a deeper connection to reality, and this case is no different. While we can't say for sure if Ivanka will run for president, let alone win, the show's history of making accurate predictions makes us wonder. What's even more interesting is that Ivanka's potential presidency could signal something bigger: the possibility of a woman becoming president of the United States. So how would you feel if Ivanka Trump had decided to run for president? It might seem unexpected, but knowing The Simpsons' track record, we might want to keep an eye on this one. But that wasn't all. Here's a prediction that was way ahead of its time. The Simpsons hinted at futuristic food technology that could change the way we experience meals. Virtual reality food. Could virtual reality replace our favorite foods? The Simpsons threw this idea out years ago, and the tech world is starting to make it real. It all began in the Treehouse of Horror 6 episode from Season 7, where Homer and Marge are shown enjoying virtual fudge through straws while wearing their virtual reality headsets. At the time, it seemed like a wild-the-top idea. Who could have ever imagined eating food without actually tasting it? It felt like something straight out of science fiction. But fast forward to today, and we're starting to see the possibility of a future where virtual reality changes how we experience dining. It's hard to believe that technology could impact something as basic as food, right? But knowing The Simpsons, their predictions often end up closer to reality than we'd expect. With the rapid pace of advancements in technology, what once seemed far-fetched is starting to feel more plausible. It's already happening. The Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is planning to offer guests a virtual reality dining experience, proving that what seemed like a joke just a few decades ago might soon be the next big thing in food. Imagine enjoying all your favorite foods without worrying about calories. No more late-night fridge raids or counting carbs. With virtual reality food, you can experience digital dishes in a completely immersive way without ever gaining a pound. Companies like Aero Banquets RMX are already pushing the boundaries by creating virtual reality experiences that simulate not only the look and feel of food, but also the smells and sounds. It's like stepping into a fantasy world where you can savor every bite minus the guilt and calories. But here's the thing, virtual reality food isn't just about enjoying meals without any consequences. It's also opening up new possibilities for how we experience food. Imagine being able to explore the journey of your meal, learning about sustainable farming, or even cooking alongside a virtual chef guiding you every step of the way. What started as a quirky joke on The Simpsons is quickly becoming more and more plausible. As technology advances, the idea of virtual reality food might just change the way we think about dining. So who knows? The future could bring us food experiences we never imagined. Let's see another hint. The Simpsons talked about a technology that's still in its early stages. Hologram. Ever feel like technology is moving so fast that you're constantly playing catch-up? 1 minute, it's all about the latest phone, and the next minute, we're talking about holograms. But here's the wild part. The Simpsons might have already predicted it. These days, technology is evolving so fast that it feels like we can barely keep up, right? But if you look at The Simpsons, it's like they're living in the future already. Seriously, the show has been ahead of the game for years. In one episode, Bart takes a peek into the future using one of Professor Frink's crazy inventions, a thingamajig. What did he see? Well, it's kind of mind-blowing. In this futuristic vision, a lazy older Bart gets a hologram message inviting his band to a gig at a club. Now, here's the real question. How did the Simpsons come up with the idea of holograms being a thing in the first place? And could it be that by 2025, holograms might be as common as texting on our cell phones? Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but bear with us. Right now, we have already got some seriously cool tech like the DreamHack high-definition holograms. These three-sided displays can show three-dimensional images of people, places, or anything from anywhere in the world. Imagine chilling in your living room and watching your friend from across the globe teach you the latest viral TikTok dance. But what happens when machines start to think for themselves? The Simpsons has an answer, and it's not pretty. War in 2025. Could a harmless prank in an 80s cartoon be pointing to something much more troubling about our future? Well, on November 22nd, 1987, The Simpsons aired a special episode on The Tracy Ullman Show. It was packed with laughs, but if you look a little closer, there might be something deeper going on beneath the humor. Now, before you think we're overanalyzing this, hear us out. Some of the most accurate predictions made by The Simpsons have been simple little side notes that most people didn't even pay attention to. It's wild to think about, but sometimes it's those throwaway moments that turn out to be spot on. So, in this particular episode, Homer Simpson keeps pranking his family by scaring them with World War warnings. He would wake them up in a panic, telling them to rush into the fallout shelter, acting like the end of the world was coming. So now, here's the thing, do you think an ordinary guy's makeshift shelter could protect his family from a nuclear fallout? That's a question we will leave to the Mythbusters. But the episode was a joke, making fun of the panic that could happen if a serious global conflict got too close. Honestly, the idea that regular families might have to act like Homer's was a pretty bold prediction at the time. Fast forward to today, and we're a lot closer to that World War III scenario than we were in the late 80s. First, we had a global scare in 2020, with tensions rising before the pandemic hit. Then, if you keep an eye on world politics, it's pretty clear that conflicts are happening all over the globe. So the big question is, could 2024 be the year everything comes to a head? Could we see nations pushing things too far, leading to a major global conflict? Well, The Simpsons' ability to predict the future doesn't stop there. Mind control through music. The Simpsons is more than just a comedy, especially when it starts predicting real-life events, like this one incredible example. Over the years, people have frequently wondered how often The Simpsons has made eerily accurate predictions, and many have found it a bit unsettling. In this particular episode, Bart, Nelson, Milhouse, and Ralph are selected to form a boy band called Party Posse, a name that some find amusing, but as with many Simpsons plots, there was a darker twist lurking beneath the surface. In the episode, the band's hit song, Drop a Bomb, comes with this odd music video featuring a strange chant, Event et George. When you flip it around, it spells, Join the Navy. Things get even crazier when we find out that the catchy song and trippy video were brainwashing Springfield's people to join the military. Lisa puts the pieces together when she confronts the music producer and finds out he's a Navy lieutenant. He opens up about how music has been used for military recruitment for a long time, and it's not just some crazy plotline from the show. In fact, during World War II, the United States used music and entertainment as a way to encourage young men to enlist. It turns out the power of entertainment on people's choices is much more real than we might realize. So, when The Simpsons touches on mind control through music, it makes one wonder whether it's just a wild plot or if the show's creators knew something everyone else missed. Given how many times The Simpsons has accurately predicted the future, maybe it's time to pay a little more attention to what they might be hinting at. Now, The Simpsons is leading us into a series of predictions that are starting to feel a bit too real, beginning with a joke about the next war. Robots and AI going rogue. Now, here's something The Simpsons might have nailed way before anyone else. Robots are taking over way more than just factory jobs. You might have already seen robot servers in Japan, and self-driving cars are on the verge of replacing taxi drivers. But it's not just physical tasks that are being automated. Even creative jobs could be at risk. Artificial intelligence is already stepping in to handle things like coding, financial advising, and even graphic design. It's crazy to think that we could be heading toward a future where artificial intelligence goes rogue. Sounds wild, right? Well, it's not as absurd as it sounds. Just recently, a Google engineer lost his job after claiming their artificial intelligence was becoming too lifelike. We're getting closer to artificial intelligence that can learn, adapt, and who knows, maybe even feel emotions like humans do. The line between fiction and reality is blurring and fast. Do you remember that Simpsons episode from 1994, Itchy and Scratchy Land? The one where the family visits a theme park run by robots? Well, it gets pretty wild when the robots become super smart and, you guessed it, rebel against their human creators. Back then, it was just a funny cartoon, but with the stuff happening in real life, it feels a little different now. As artificial intelligence continues to grow smarter, the idea of machines thinking for themselves or even deciding that humans are in their way doesn't seem quite so impossible. But what happens when technology starts to control our minds? The Simpsons explored this idea in a creepy episode that's about to become all too real.